down the hammer and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as your host.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Savvy Landlord. You've tuned into the Savvy Radio Show. And I got some really good friends in my life, some people that I've known for a long time, and they're buying real estate or trying to buy real estate, and it's exciting for them and for me because people ask me questions. Or how do you do this? And there's never a bad question. They're all questions that are good. It doesn't matter how simple it was. Even today in college, I could feel the idiot next to me get upset because I was asking questions like, what happens when this happens, and depreciation schedules. And, you know, he said that's in chapter 5 because I'm so excited about accounting right now. But you always should ask questions. In my mind, I'm paying crazy money to go to college. I'm going to get every drop that I can out of it. And that's what you're doing here today on the Savvy Radio Show. And so I got a really good question. A friend of mine got a hold of a deal, or not a deal, a package deal. And I'll reveal more of that information here in a minute. But he didn't know how to handle it. Basically, how do you handle, you see something that you want, a property per se, and it's, you know, it could be for your own residence. Let's just say real estate investments. That's what we do here. But, you know, how do you approach it? You know, how do you communicate with the realtor, especially if you've never bought property before as a real estate investor? You don't know what to say or how to say it. So I am going to break it down to you and give you some nuggets. You got to grab a pen and a paper. You're going to listen to this over and over because this is about 20 years of manipulating realtors for my gain. And I'm going to spill all the juices. So the realtors are going to hate me, but you hate me anyway. So who gives a flying? So the title is How to Engage a Realtor. So you come across a piece of property. The first thing that you need to do, you've got to set the tone. You've got to connect with the realtor. You got to give this illusion that you're strong, right? And how do you do that? All the time when I call a realtor, I'm like, I'm calling about this property. I don't say home. I don't say house. And the number one question that they respond back very quickly, are you a realtor? And I love that because they assume because of my language and my tonality that I am experienced or I am at equal plane to you. There's realtors out there that are on a perch. They're better than you because they went to school. What school? Well, they went online and took a few tests and they have a license, okay? And I love the realtors that have I'm poking fun at you. Yep. That you've taken ethics tests, and I've seen a lot of realtors ride the fence on this thing called wholesaling, but that's another episode. I know you hate me right now. You can call me, text me, whatever. But the first thing that you need to do, you get the name of this realtor that has this listing, and we can talk about if you're working with a buyer's agent. But for right now, let's say you're driving around, you get a phone number, you find out that it's a package deal. This friend of mine, he knows me well enough. Don't bring me some information without doing some research. So he looked them up. He found a bunch of properties that one individual was selling. And he's like, bro, is this a package? Well, sometimes in the MLS, they put it in as packages, and sometimes they go look at package. But this case, this individual, and I know this because I called the individual for my friend just to vet this deal out and show him exactly. So these notes that I'm going through right now are my processes of getting the information. And so you call them up, hi, and I introduce myself. Hey, I say you my full name, Stephen VanCauwenbergh, and I wouldn't say, I would say I am a landlord. If you say investor, okay, investors have a bad rap. They don't close, or they are flighty. They're wannabes. Anybody can say that they're an investor. Only real investors tune into the Savvy Radio Show, and I know exactly how many investors there are because I can see the downloads, and I can tell there's not that many investors out there, but everybody says that they're an investor. Well, to kill that whole thing straight out the gate, you should say you're a landlord, right? You're a landlord, and that means you actually physically own property. If you were an investor, you don't really own property per se. So you want to set the tone. I'm a landlord. I own a few units in that area. Well, units is a trade term, and you got to learn the language. If you say, yeah, I own a property, I can always tell when someone doesn't know what they're saying because they don't know the language of the industry. You can, if you want to know the language of the industry, the back of all of my books, I go like a kind of a glossary, define. The best glossary that I have put to date is in my green book, How to Hire a Contractor. You want to save money? Okay, that's a side note. Anyway, let's just keep focused here. So you got to give the illusion that you can close. You got to set the tone. You got to lead the conversation. So you probably should get the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, because then you know how to lead people through conversations. But that's on another episode. But the first question, if they're a really good realtor, two things they're going to say right out the gate. Are you working with a realtor? That usually stumps a lot of people. And you can say, well, I do sometimes. It just depends on the situation. I love working with realtors when they provide me deals or they bring me a deal. I'm very loyal to that realtor. But the realtors that I worked with 10 years ago are no longer in business, but I am still in business and I have a few houses. That's one question. And then, I really try to keep it simple, and I am loyal to everybody within reason that brings me deals, and I work with them. And I really don't work with realtors because I don't sell property. And if I did need to sell property, I would usually sell it to someone that I know and do a quick cash closing. So that's how I answer that next question. The first question, are you working with a realtor? Only experienced superstar realtors ask that question. If you're a realtor right now, that's probably, you need to pre-qualify your buyer. Now I'm speaking for realtors. I shouldn't be doing that because I'm speaking for the investors. The next question is, can you close? You gave that illusion already when you said that you are a landlord. But they may ask for proof of funds. And right there, know my buddy, he'd probably, he does everything to the T. He's a high C personality, and he would freeze him up. I didn't get pre-qualified. No, that doesn't stop me. I always operate like I have money, even when I don't have money. Rule number one in banking, always borrow money when you don't need it, AKA make it seem like it. But you can get proof of funds letters. Yep, you can. How do you get it? Well, one, you can go online and buy them. Yep, I found websites. I would never tell you what website that is because that is kind of bogalicious that, you don't have proof of funds and you have a proof of funds letter. Because if that ever came out that you're using a fake proof of funds letter, your whole rapport is diminished in the industry. And in this industry, and especially in Oklahoma City, it's a pretty tight-knit industry. But you can there's other forms of ways to do it. I've seen investors in other parts of the country use online, but you can get vetted out with a hard money lender or even a private lender. For example, I loan private money out to a few people. Have I written official proof of funds letter? Yes, I have. Do I have funds to loan somebody? Yes, I do. Do I have an LLC that loans money? Yes, I do. So, can I issue a proof of funds letter for you if you're making an offer? Yep. You can call a hard money guy. Yep. And there's multiple ways you could show your bank account if you have cash, or your IRA, or your CDs. If you have cash, of course, we're real estate investors. We're broke. We have no money. That's why we're doing this, to buy more assets. If you have a bunch of cash in the bank, you should probably call your boy VanCauwenbergh, 405, give it to you later. But you can also go ahead and communicate with a bank and get pre-qualified and get a guidance line and start that ball rolling. And some banks are really weird about this proof of funds. They want to know what deal you're doing. Don't call a bank up and say, hey, call a bank up and get a proof of funds letter. That's generic. That blank entity has the ability to close on this matter. So, I actually try to get the maximum proof of funds letter. Even if I'm submitting a $30,000 offer, I may have a proof of funds letter that says $100,000. If I'm buying a $400,000 property, I may have a proof of funds letter that says $380,000. Now, I don't call my banker all the time. I work with several bankers, but I don't call them and try to make a proof of funds letter on every transaction. Some bankers want you to do that. I don't want to. That's the bank you shouldn't be working with. If I call a bank, I need a proof of funds letter. What's the address? That's the bank you don't want to deal with. You want to get a good banking relationship with a banker that will get you a proof of funds letter that's good for 90 days, 60 days, or even 30 days, and then pounce on it and give out as many offers as possible. Now, if you're real savvy, you don't even need to get this far with that realtor. But just in case this realtor is savvy, is an investor himself, and is pre-qualifying you, you should have already broke them off when you said that you were a landlord. Now let's just get into the detail. What's your goal here? Why calling him? Well, your goal to find out about this package deal is every detail you can. Why are you selling it? I wouldn't necessarily say that right out the gate, but how long have they been rented? How long have they been vacant? Ask the right questions and get the individual talking. Why? The more they talk, the more they love you. The more relationship that you connect with them, especially on a legitimate package deal, they will deal with you over anyone else that says, yeah, I went to the Rich Dad Poor Dad seminar and I want to be a millionaire and you're my first realtor. He's going to step on that person and jump to talk to me. Not because I'm the savvy landlord, just because I know the language. So that's the key message here. You're creating illusion. If you're uneducated, get educated real quickly and build a relationship and get the background story of the property. Now, this listing realtor may be not forthright in why they're selling, okay? You don't come out point blank, hey, why are they selling this property? Find out, get to the gist by asking the right questions. Now, most people go, what's the size of it? Well, be a savvy freaking investor and look up all the due diligence before you call him or her. If you know what the address is, obviously go to the county assessor and look up it's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath. Create a spreadsheet with this details in there so you can reference that quickly when you're talking to them, so it seems like or you are already in the due diligence part. I make it clear I'm a landlord, I'm looking for property, and I don't want to waste your time. I know you don't want to waste my time. I know you're going to make money off this transaction. That's the goal here. And let's speed this up and let's get to the point. So ask the right questions. And it's important to justify through your communication that you're an investor of sorts. Now, remember, I said, you say that you're a landlord, so you have automatic credibility. But now, halfway through the conversation, I've converted it into I am an investor, and these properties have to cash flow. So I've seen time and time again where it's a $100,000 house and they've listed it for 90. That's impossible. I've seen a $100,000 house listed for 80. It's impossible. Any house that you see on the market, it's going to need $10,000. So if you're a super duper rookie, you should probably automatically factor in 10 G's for every acquisition. Holding cost, time, if you got a full-time job, every house that's probably an investor quality home needs some sort of repair. Minimum, I would say 10. I used to think 5, but I have some really good friends that have just pushed me to not under budget, but have the right amount of numbers. Okay, now you got to understand that this realtor is busy. They're trying to make money, and so you got to respect that and find out, who owns the property. Is it them? And sure enough, I found out that this realtor owns these properties. He bought these properties in a tax sale, and he said you have to do a quiet title transaction. And so I know what that is, but I also played dumb, and I said, well, because I wanted to play dumb. He doesn't know that I'm the savvy landlord. I said, can I get title insurance on that? And see, when I said that comment to this individual, it put his mind in a different position. Now, I'm already negotiating with this guy before I even found out that I know the price, but this is how I negotiated. I put fear in his heart that no one else is going to buy this property. No bank loan will do it because you have to have title insurance. Number 2, okay, what was another question? Let me think for a second. So the other thing I was trying to get across is like I can close quickly, and I also made the impression that someone else would not be able to handle a quiet title. And so I spent a few minutes talking about quiet title with him, the process. And then as soon as I hung up with that guy, I called my attorney to verify that, because I asked him the question that I asked him that would win me over someone else that was a rookie. I said, do you have the title reports for these properties? And there's two different type of title reports. There's a cheap ghetto title report that just kind of is the obvious, but it doesn't do a global search of any liens from the IRS or any massive liens. And that's called an extended title report. And that's usually about $125. So when the guy said, this investor / realtor said, yes, I pulled reports on all these properties. He was selling about 30 of these properties. I figured just quickly that he only pulled the cheap report that's just probably around $50 to $75. So right there in my own equation, I know that I'm going to have to pull a full extension report if I'm going to purchase these properties, because the properties were actually priced really well. And I'm assuming this dude's phone is blowing the F up. And number two, that I called an attorney and find out how much does it cost to process the quiet title. And through that process, it could be about $1,000 or $1,200. So I was armed with all this information. So when I finally go back to this guy, negotiate, I'm going to be the top of his list. I'm a real estate investor. I know what I'm doing. I know about the quiet title. The guy doesn't have to deal with it. And I know my risks and my rewards by buying it. Now, quickly, he was already trying to educate me on, well, the quiet title, it's a quick claim, blah, blah. And I already went into all this jazz and I already knew that, but I let him talk and I did less talking so he would gain trust with me. So I wanted to, then after that conversation, I just was like, I'm serious about this proposal. I'm interested. I don't want to waste any time. Tell me what the repairs would be. That's always my number. I know you got your pen now. You pulled over, huh? You pulled over to the car. You grabbed out your pen. Yep. Because this is what I do. This is how I crush them. I said, okay, tell me how much do you think the repairs are? And this is where I get all investors, realtors, sellers. They get a little choked up on me. And the why is because now I am bringing the truth to the fruition. I could tell when they're lying. I don't know, maybe 5,000, 10,000, 15,000. Well, that all boils down to interpretation. And so the pricing that I pay for repairs is obviously going to be different than someone that's never hired a contractor before. So, and then I hit him with this one. I said, let me get with my handyman. And first of all, I said, I'm going to go drive by the properties. I'm going to do a little bit harder due diligence. Basically, what I said was, I'm just calling you to see if this is even a viable deal. And then I'm going to drive by them. Save you time, Mr. Realtor. I'm going to redo title reports within reason. I have some friends at multiple title companies. See if I can dig up some liens and stuff myself by Googling them. And then I said, I will call you back. And I asked him how easy it is to show. He already was clear on how to show it to me. He was already let me know that I could just be on the property and call him, and he will give me the code to get in. And then I said, this is another line that I use, and everyone's going to be using this because I've seen everybody use my contract in Oklahoma City. Just the other day, I was at a title company, and someone copied my contract. I'm flattered. So I know when people start saying this comment, I'm going to bring my handyman out there. I'm going to set up a time, and that's another line that I use that really shows that I'm serious about purchasing this property. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from around the world, what'd you think so far? I hope this empowered you, gave you some nuggets. You actually drove off the road and took some notes. Let your boy know if I forgot something. I may dig into this deal. This is really not my deal. This is a good friend of mine that brought this to my attention. And if I can help him in any way, he's my boy. But if I missed something or didn't cover something, let me know. And I would love to expand on it some more. And remember, first thing, ask questions. The more questions you ask, the more content that I can get out there and help you grow your business to do what? To buy assets. Yep. With those assets, you can bless more people. You can live the dream that you want to dream, and you don't have to follow the scripted life.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at savvyradioshow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook, and always be buying assets.